Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar presented by Savision. My name is Stephen Dwyer, and it's my pleasure today to introduce you to Savision's latest product, which we call simply Dashboards. Now, a few of you may have joined us for our webinar we held back in January, which we called Solving Real-World Problems with System Center Operations Manager Dashboarding. For those of you who didn't catch it, it was a very good webinar, if I say so myself, and it is available on demand from our website, Savision.com. But for those of you who saw it already, the next few slides are going to look a little familiar, but rest assured, all the content after that is brand new. We've got a lot of stuff to show you today, a little bit on the history of SCOM dashboarding. We're going to talk about our new Dashboards product. Then we're going to dive into a whole bunch of demos. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with a little bit of under the covers of how our Dashboards product actually works. At any time, if you have questions, please feel free to enter them in the Q&A window, and we'll try to get them through the webinar, or we'll get to them at the very end. So, brief history of SCOM dashboarding. What was available natively? Well, really, for most of the history of SCOM, there wasn't anything. Yes, you could always create your own little view, and you could put maybe a graph on it or a state view, but by and large, there really wasn't much that you could look at in terms of dashboarding. That all changed when Microsoft released Operations Manager 2012 SP1, and they actually introduced the idea of widgets. So widgets were little composable that showed different things that you could bring together, and they gave you a little authoring capability so you could build your own dashboards and focus in on the things that mattered just to you. And for widgets that they didn't provide, they said, hey, go ahead, here's a guide on how to write your own widgets. Go ahead and build whatever you want. Not very many people actually took them up on that. As a company that did, we can tell you it's not very pleasant actually to write your own widget. There's a lot of stuff involved. So, with Operations Manager 2012 R2 update rollup number 2, Microsoft released a whole bunch of new widgets. No longer did you have to write your own widget if the capability wasn't there. They gave you a whole bunch more, and in particular, they gave you the PowerShell Grid widget and the PowerShell Web Browser widget. And those two widgets really gave you a lot of power. They gave you the language in PowerShell to grab data from Operations Manager, to massage the data, to change it into whatever form you wanted. And then, especially in the case of the Web Browser widget, they gave you this great HTML framework so that you could display really anything that you wanted. Number of MVPs and other people in the community did some great blog posts and displayed various widgets that they made up themselves. You can also check out the community on TechNet Gallery to see some of the widgets that are available for you to download and start using right away. The Exchange team, at the same time when the widgeting framework came out, jumped in with great gusto. They did a little rollout of an update to the Exchange Management Pack. They only changed the build number on the MP, but the internals changed dramatically. And if you're not running the latest version of Exchange 2013 Management Pack, I'd highly recommend that you download it. One of the big things they did was they took advantage of all these new widgets, and they gave you some great, really informative dashboards right within the Operations Manager console, so you can see how Exchange is performing. At the same time as well, there are a number of third-party vendors that have dashboarding products for System Center as well. One of the problems when you start using the native tools built into System Center and the widgets as well is you only have two choices of ways to deploy them. You can either look at them in the native Operations Manager console, or you can look at it in the in the Operations Manager web console, but there you're running Silverlight. And we hear a lot of complaints from people that they don't want to be using Silverlight. Actually, Google Chrome did an update just today. If you're trying to run Silverlight in Chrome from now on, good luck. And actually, by the end of the year, you won't be able to run Silverlight at all if you're running Google Chrome. So you can turn to these third-party products. Cortec has a really nice, simple dashboard if you just want to see the state of things. That's a great product. Squared Up has really pushed the envelope with what you can do in terms of HTML5 dashboarding. And of course, Savision's product, Live Maps Unity, been around for over 7 years, is really what we think is the flagship and the state of art when it comes to System Center dashboarding. Now, back in January when we had that little Solving Real-World Problems webinar, we talked about a lot of generic dashboarding solutions and different ways to present information and so on. And at the end, we gave a little tease of the latest product we were working on, which we called Dashboards. Back just last month, we put out a first version for beta testers. We had a lot of good reaction to it, a lot of people giving us a lot of good feedback, both things they liked about it and things they'd like to see. And then just a few weeks ago, we came out with the actual production release version. And again, we've seen a lot of nice traction, a lot of good constructive criticism as well. So what is Dashboards by Savision? Well, we'll let the tagline say everything. It's fast, it's free, and it's easily customizable. And it takes all of that rich data that's available in Operations Manager that wasn't perhaps being surfaced before, and it lets you see it. And with the Operations Manager, you get that data warehouse. It has a whole bunch of information in it, but there really aren't very many tools that really pull it out and show it to you in a way that you can make informed decisions. So with Dashboards, we've had a number of goals in mind. Number one was it's built purely for the web. And when we talk about the web, we mean mobile devices, your cell phones, your tablets, your desktops, the big screens in your network operations center. It scales across all of those. And it also scales intelligently. When you go from the big screen down to your mobile phone, we don't just squash everything into one little column, but we intelligently reflow. We might remove some information that isn't core to the viewing experience. And we also change the style of the widgets as well. So it adapts from whichever device you're on, so to give you the best possible experience and the best information for the device that you're working on. Another one of our goals was to make it as fast as we possibly could. And I think we've achieved that, and we'll talk about that a little later as well. We also want to make sure that it respects all of the role-based security built into Operations Manager. And of course, as well, it gives you the ability not just to take our best ideas for what dashboards can look like, but to let you develop your own dashboards as well. Who did we build it for? Well, as I said, our product for the last 7+ years has been Live Maps Unity. That started out as a really nice SCOM dashboarding solution and since really evolved in what we call business service management. So Live Maps Unity, you can use it if you're an IT pro, and you can use it all the way up if you're a service owner in your organization responsible for some services that are running, up to the CIO level. It's a great tool for really getting a high-level view of the services that are running, service-level agreements, drill down, problem-solving, root cause analysis, that sort of thing. Dashboards, we tried to target more into today's IT professional. So someone who's on the go, who needs a quick view into SCOM, into the component level of what's going on, server level, databases, low level. At the same time, you can also look at your distributed applications as well. We won't stop you from doing that. But really targeted at the IT professional, especially ones on the go. So without further ado, we are just going to jump into a demo of Dashboards. And one of the things that I'm going to emphasize is that there's a free version of Dashboards. And it's not one of those freemium versions that you'll find online where we make you pay to get functionality or so on. It's not something that's time limited. You can go download it today. You can start using it. All of the system dashboards in it are totally free. Plus, we give you a custom dashboard as well. So let's take a look at that. So I will just sign in. When you sign into Dashboards, you just provide the credentials of a user who has rights in System Center Operations Manager. Now, it takes a little bit of time just to sign in. We like to make this product as fast as possibly can. The first thing it's doing right now is it's trying to establish a connection to the Operations Manager SDK. That really is the slowest part of the whole experience, is signing in. Once we're signed in, things pick up. Now, one of the things I'll mention as well, if you've already downloaded one of the free versions off our website, you'll notice that the version you're running is a little bit older than one I'm showing right now. The one I'm showing today, and I've got my fingers crossed that this will all work for the demo, is the latest build from this morning. Our developers tell me it is guaranteed to work, so we'll just keep our fingers crossed. But I want to show you some of the new functionality that's going to be coming down the pipe as well. So right off the top, we've got a series of system dashboards built in to our dashboarding product. First one we'll just quick look at is computer health. So this is a great one for just putting up on Network Operations Center. Really just shows the health of all the computers in your environment. Now, one thing we can do as well is we can filter it. So if I'm just interested in the computers that are running IIS, for example, I can just scope to the IIS computer group, and I'll see those ones. Or we can jump back to seeing all of them. I can also drill down as well from any of these. I can just click on it, and I get more details about that computer as well. So one of the things that we do a little bit differently than Operations Manager is where we come to prioritizing the order. So as we saw, we had red, yellow, and green as well. You know in Operations Manager, some things will turn up to be gray. Operations Manager tends to hide the gray things, shove it down to the bottom of the list. We were doing that at first as well. And then Cameron Fuller came around and said, no, gray is terrible. Please bring that to the top right under the red. So we did that for Cameron Fuller, and you get the benefit of his experience as well. So just drilling down, we can see a whole bunch of performance data about this particular Windows server. One of the things about Windows servers in SCOMs, performance data is actually on the operating system rather than the server itself, which is why this first area is blank. We can see the price. We can see all the active alerts. And this computer is not in any services right now, part of any distributed applications. So there's no data right there. But if it were part of a distributed application or a set of distributed applications, you'll be able to see right away what that computer is part of as well. So we can jump into Active Directory, which is another one of our system dashboards. In building up these system dashboards, we tried to build on the experience we've had seeing a lot of customers over many years and what they've been doing in Live Maps Unity, what sort of information they're most interested in. So you can see we start off with a heat map. Every system dashboard, we try to have a little heat map. And this just shows the different domain controllers. Here we have two, and their health state. And those are drilled through as well. If you see one's red, for example, you can drill in and get more information about it. We show you which domain controllers are experiencing alerts right now. We show you some numbers like bind time, for example. And if you've got more domain controllers than we have in your environment, you'll see them ordered. Authentications, memory, connections, and so on. Mention as well that all of the numbers that we're showing on these dashboards are the most current value the Operations Manager has sampled. So when we go into the data warehouse to get the information to show on these, we look at the summarized data to build the long-term trend lines, but we also look at the very last sampled values. So when you look at this dashboard, you can know that's the most recent value. And then again, I can click through to any of these domain controllers and get more information about it as well. So we can see, for example, number of sessions it's been serving. And again, this domain controller is part of a distributed application, so we can see that distributed application and its health state as well. Some details about the server, general performance, and Active Directory performance as well. Jumping back, we know the Exchange 2013 team did a great job with their dashboards, but they're not things you can view on the web. So we went ahead and we rolled out an Exchange 2013 dashboard in our product as well. So right off the top, we will show you all the alerts for this particular Exchange organization. Show you again the servers with the most active alerts, server CPU usage, message traffic, and that sort of information as well. And then we can click through into the different servers. All of the system dashboards tend to have at least 2 levels of detail that you can go into. And again, for this particular server, you can see the message traffic that it's handling, as well as all the active alerts for it and so on. And if we jump back, we can see we've got a number of different dashboards as well. We do IIS, we do SharePoint. We can look at SQL Server for a minute as well. So again, we've got the health of all our SQL servers. And another nice thing we can do is we can scope this as just a particular group. I have actually grouped things, so we'll just do the SQL Server computer group, which shows all the ones we had before. But if you have other groups for your SQL servers, you can scope this dashboard as well. And then a whole bunch of standard metrics that we, again, find are most valuable, and drill down to the unhealthy SQL Server database engine, and we can get some information about that as well. So we can see active alert can't authenticate Kerberos. We can see actually buffer cache hit ratio is doing fairly well. We're 100%, so we're not having to rerun queries and so on. And again, we've got a whole bunch of information, query life expectancy, compilations, weights, and so on. Now, these are all the dashboards that we put together we thought would be useful for you, but we know you have a lot of custom applications in your environment, things that are important to you that you want to see. And maybe the things that we've built aren't exactly what you want. So for that, we gave you the ability to create your own dashboards. So when we say add new dashboards, we're given a blank slate, and we can start adding what we call widgets. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to add a little web page widget. For the moment, we'll just call it Savision, and we'll show the Savision homepage. Now, you could actually show any page in here that you wanted. If you have Live Maps Unity as a product as well, a great thing to do is actually bring in Live Maps Unity dashboards into dashboards and show them as web page widgets. And we'll just expand that, make it a little bit bigger. And there we go. And you can see we've got a white paper available. If you're interested in instrumenting the hybrid cloud, you can just go to our website and get that as well. Now, another widget that people have been asking us about a lot, we've gotten a lot of feedback. They really love the widget, but a little bit was missing for them, was our heat map widget. So I will just demonstrate that. We're just going to show the health of all our SQL computers. Now, if you've been using dashboards already, you might say, well, how is it just going to show the SQL computers? The heat map shows everything. The next version, we're actually offering scope to group. So in the heat map widget, you can say scope to a particular group. And here I'll show SQL computers. And we'll just save that. And here I've got my SQL computers. And I'll just move that over there. And let's add another heat map widget. And we'll do our IIS servers. And IIS computer group. And we'll move that over there. And of course, if you have your own custom groups for your own applications, you could scope these heat maps to those as well. So we'll just edit this one, for example. In this list is actually every single group that Operations Manager knows about. So you can scope it to any group, including custom groups as well. And we've got that great search functionality built in. Now, one of the ones that might be new, if you've been using our demo version or the previous release version as well, is the performance graph. Where was the performance graph in the previous version? It was nowhere to be found. So what we're going to do is we're just going to show available memory for a whole bunch of Windows servers. We've made a couple tweaks as well just to make the experience better. So you might notice every widget I'm bringing up, the object type is always Windows Server. In the previous version, you might have noticed it was some random thing that no one actually ever used. Depending on your environment, we've just took the first one, bubbled up to the top. We make it Windows Server because that's a little more presentable for people these days. We won't bother scoping it to a group. But let's pick some metrics. And therein lies our first problem, which is why we didn't actually put the performance graph widget in the previous version. Operations Manager doesn't necessarily put things where you might think they should belong. So if we're looking for available memory for Windows Server, Operations Manager doesn't actually measure it on the Windows Server. It measures it on the Windows Server operating system. So let's search for types of that. And now if we look at the list of metrics, we have a whole bunch of metrics. And we also have titles. So Windows 8 operating system, 2003, 2005, 2008. Why do we have that? Well, this is another sort of gotcha that Operations Manager has. So let's just look for memory available. Operations Manager doesn't actually collect any metric called available memory. What they do collect is available memory for Windows 8, available memory for Vista, available memory for 2000, for 2008, 2012, and so on. So if you want to show all of these things on one graph, you have to select multiple rules. The rules are really getting the same thing, but they're all called under different names. So here, we'll just add 2008 available memory, 2012 available memory, 2012 R2 available memory. That was one of the reasons why we didn't give the performance graph widget in the previous version. We're trying to come up with a good user experience to help you with this. It's still not ideal, I will agree, but it's better than what we had before. And coming in later versions down the road, we're actually going to give you single objects that roll everything up for common things. So if you want available memory, just say available memory. Under the covers, we'll go and look up the Windows 2012, 2008, Vista, whatever available memory. We'll do that for disk space and those things as well. Then we'll just pick the units. You don't have to put the units in, but it does help us simplify the numbers as well. So if you tell us what units they're in, we'll start truncating them down if they get too big. And we'll just save that graph. Now we're going to make a little bit more room for it, so I'll just move those ones around. And I'll bring this one up. Now, you might have a couple complaints when you look at this. One, it's all pink. The version you get won't be pink. It'll actually match the legend. And two, everything says Windows Server 2012 R2 Data Center. Why is that? Well, again, Operations Manager doesn't name things necessarily the way you think they might be named. So remember when we said available memory isn't on the server, it's on the operating system? So we grab the metrics from the operating system, display them up here where we get the names of the operating system, and the name of the operating system is whatever version of Windows you're running. You won't have that problem in the next version we release. You actually have the ability to say, do I want to see the name of the object I'm getting the metric from, or the name of the computer it's running on, or a combination of those two. So you could switch this to actually show the name of the Windows Server. Or if it's a disk drive, for example, you could show the name of the Windows Server plus the name of the drive, C, D, E, whatever. But next version, definitely you'll get these graphs as well. Then we have a couple other. We've got the related services, of course. So you can take an object and you can show what distributed applications it's running in. We'll just do Active Directory. I think I can find the main controller in here. And we'll just add that. And we can see that that particular domain controller is, again, part of our Active Directory distributed application. So again, as you're building your custom dashboards, you can put in objects and you can see what services they participate in. So that when you're troubleshooting, when there's a problem with whatever it is that's on your dashboard, you can know the actual impact on the business. And as well, we can add object properties. So you can take a particular object. Let's take, for example, again, just this domain controller. And we can select some of its properties. So we can get its, well, we know its display name. Let us get its IP address. Let's get the number of logical processors and number of physical processors as well. And we'll just save that. And that'll appear down here. And then we can preview our dashboard as well, just to see what it's going to look like. And then we'll give it a name, our demo dashboard, and we'll save it. And when we save it, we've now published that dashboard so that everyone in our organization can now make use of it. And we can have customized things however we want to. This is not perhaps the prettiest one, but you can make it look however you want. And then we'll just go back to the main page, and you can see our demo dashboard is now available here. And as well, you can scope these dashboards in Operations Manager as well so that only particular users can see them. So you can have some sort of privacy there as well. With our free version, we definitely provide you with all of these system dashboards, and we also provide you with one custom dashboard. And if you are a customer of our Live Maps Unity product, you can get unlimited custom dashboards, and you're also able to purchase additional custom dashboards on a yearly subscription basis for a very reasonable price. So that is sort of our demo in a nutshell. We will just jump back into the slideshow, and we'll go on to the next section, which talks a little bit about the integrations that we have between the new Dashboards product, Live Maps Unity, and Cloud Reporter, which are two other Savision products. So as I mentioned before, Live Maps Unity is really moving into what we call business service modeling. So it says take all your low-level IT components, let's compose them into what we really call a distributed application on steroids. When you create these service models in Unity, we create a distributed application. We automatically create service level objectives for that distributed application. We then add on top related services. So you can say this particular service provides services to other services or requires services from other things. For example, your Exchange service requires Active Directory, so you can link those two together. And then you can publish these service level maps and dashboards to everyone in your organization. And the idea is to really get everyone on the same page, from business to IT. Everyone knows what are the business things that are impacted when issues go off in Operations Manager. And we also reduce noise because now you only get one alert for a service instead of getting overwhelmed with alerts for all the different components. Now, Live Maps offers native console integration, and it also offers its own web console. However, and believe me, we've gotten a lot of feedback on this, when you look at business service modeling in Live Maps, the web delivery method is via Silverlight. Nobody likes Silverlight. So what we do now, when you get dashboards, the very next version, and you have Live Maps Unity, the service maps and the service overview will be delivered via dashboards. You can still use the same web console, Live Maps Web Console, if you want the Silverlight version, but we've also given you a pure HTML5 version, works on your mobile phones, works on your tablets, works on your desktop. Gives you a much better experience, and also we've sped things up considerably as well. Now, as I mentioned, Live Maps Unity customers get a premium version of dashboards, includes a whole bunch of free goodies. And over time, you'll see more and more things migrate from Live Maps into the dashboards in terms of delivery method. So we really want that to be the future for how you consume a lot of information from a web-based side of things. So we'll continue to give you nice new things as we come down the road. Another product that Savision has is called Cloud Reporter, and it's really a virtualization product for doing capacity planning, gives you what-if scenarios, lets you do task-based things like finding all your idle virtual machines, finding your virtual machines that aren't being monitored by Operations Manager as well. And it gives you all information through reports in Operations Manager. As part of our dashboards product, we've now rolled out a dashboard for virtualization based on Cloud Reporter. So if you're a customer of Cloud Reporter and you install dashboards, you will get our virtualization dashboard for free as well. And it gives you the health, again, a heat map view, gives you metrics as well, so you can see the health of your private cloud on the go. So next part of the presentation we want to talk about a little bit, and we get a lot of questions about this as well because people are always concerned, and rightly so, how do you interact with my SCOM environment? What kind of load are you putting on the SDK? Are you respecting security permissions and that sort of thing? So we want to talk a little bit about how does dashboards actually work, and maybe a few tricks of how we made it as fast as it is as well. So I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anyone. Operations Manager is kind of slow. If you ever go through some of the Operations Manager code, if you decompile some of their DLLs and look at the code they've written, if you go through the data warehouse and the operational database, and you look at the store procedures they've written, you can see that there were some design decisions, and I'm not saying they're wrong, they were perfectly fine for the time they were made, that contribute to some of the slow performance. It really wasn't designed to show lots of information at once. It was really designed to show you information about one thing at a time, and it's very good at that. There's a lot of recursion in Operations Manager as well with the whole health model. You'll have your Windows computer, for example, hosting an operating system, hosting applications that might contain a database. And all of that, when you go and collect all that information, you have to do it recursively. SQL Server, for the longest time, really didn't have the best methods for doing recursive queries. There's another database out there, I won't say who they are, their name starts with an O, that has special functionality for doing recursion, and it does it really, really well. SQL Server is getting there. But to support Operations Manager in its time, there are a lot of stored procedures in there that do a lot of looping. If you talk to your DBAs, they'll say that's a really bad thing. And that's part of the reason why you get some poor performance as well, Operations Manager. And then as well, they've made some unique decisions when it comes to how they lay out their tables, especially in the data warehouse. The image on the screen, if you've ever seen a query execution plan come out of SQL Server, this is a tiny fraction of a query execution plan. And don't try reading the names either. We've really taken a tiny fraction of it and zoomed out. This is actually part of a query execution plan we ran in one of our bigger customers just to see how fast or what would happen when you try to get data out of the data warehouse using the way that Microsoft recommends you do it. It ended up joining over 500 different tables together, which is kind of surprising and kind of slow. For people who operate smaller Operations Manager shops, you won't see a query plan like this. You'll only have a couple tables joined in. But for ones with a lot of information being collected or a long history, you'll see these horrible execution plans. One of the reasons, again, why it's slow. So what were some of the goals that we came in with and some of the ways we tried to achieve them when we built dashboards? Number one was to always respect the security that's built into Operations Manager. So the first step whenever we do anything on any of our dashboards is always to request a list of objects from the Operations Manager SDK. And we do it using the credentials of the person who signed in. That's why when we did the demo and I signed in, I had to use my credentials, which is someone who has rights in Operations Manager. Because the SDK will restrict the things that you're allowed to see automatically. So when we write our dashboards product, we don't have to think when we interact with the SDK. We just say, I am this person, get me the things that I have the rights to see. So we always respect your permissions that way. But as soon as we've gotten a list of things you're allowed to see, then it's sort of, we go straight to the data warehouse to grab everything else. We know you have the rights to see it, so we're just going to get it the fastest way we possibly can. So we try to get everything from the databases, and we try to do them in a bulk fashion. We don't say, get me the performance for this computer and then get me the performance for that one and so on. We say, we've got this set of computers, get me all the performance information in one go. So we try to batch everything up. And again, if you look at the image to the right, this is actually a tool that's built into the Dashboards product. If you're the puzzle-solving sort, you can try to, and you've downloaded Dashboards, you can try to find where this is. But this is something that our developers actually use. And what it does is it tells us every single call that we're making as we're building a single dashboard. And it tells us how long each call took, which calls generated SQL queries, and how long those queries took as well. So as our developers are building these dashboards, we're constantly looking at the output of this tool just to see if we've optimized things properly, where the bottlenecks are, where we can do things better as well. I'll mention, this is built into every version of dashboards we send out, so that if you need support on things running slowly, our customer support people can turn it on. But it isn't running by default. There's a hidden page somewhere where you can actually turn it on and get this information. Another thing we do is we cache a lot of information, but we do it in a secure way. Every cache is per user. If you just had one giant cache and you threw everything in there, it would get all jumbled together, and then you're sort of, when you go into the cache, you say, okay, well, I know this object is in the cache, but does my user currently have rights to see it? I don't know. So what we do, again, is we separate everything out per user. So when we go in, we don't have to worry about security. We know this cache is for this user. There's nothing in it that they don't have rights to see. And again, as I mentioned, we're always looking on performance. There's a little more detail here on credentials and so on. Again, when you sign in with your own credentials. That's the credentials we authenticate to the SDK with. When we go to the database, we don't use your credentials to hit the database. Instead, when you install dashboards, we ask you for the credentials of a user who has rights to the database upon installation. We run the application pool as that user, and then we authenticate directly to the databases as that user. This means that we can keep the number of connections to a minimum. We're using the built-in connection pooling in .NET, and we have connections for that one user instead of connections for everybody who's logged in. Also means you don't have to go to your SQL administrators all the time and say, well, there's a new user, I want to use dashboards. Can you give them access to the database? They're not really happy when you do that. They're happier if you just have one user that connects. And you can create, and some of our customers have done this as well, just create a specific user for dashboards for the database and really lock down the access so all they can do is just read from the operations manager area. Another thing we do, we'll call it we cheat, and this comes when we look at our system dashboards. I talked about some of these problems as well when we did the demo, and especially when we looked at that performance graph. Things aren't where you think they're going to be. Things aren't named what you think they are. And things are collected, things that should be the same, like that available memory, are collected by a whole bunch of different objects. So what we do when we create those system dashboards is we don't actually use our own authoring facility. They're all actually coded behind the scenes, and we do a lot of extra roll-ups. We collect a lot of extra information, and we glue things together in a way that makes more sense to present in the dashboards. As we mature the product and go further, you'll get more of this functionality in your custom dashboards as well. Also, if there's things you really, really want, we're happy to make, I guess I will call them ultra-custom dashboards, which is where we will hard code things for you and roll that out to you. We actually did that for Cameron Fuller. He had a customer with some very particular requests for what they wanted to see on a set of dashboards. And they actually had some custom health rollups they wanted to make use of. So we did that for him, and they're actually available in the product as well if you're Cameron Fuller's customer. But if you want to contact sales@savision.com for the right price, we can do that for you as well. So what's coming next? I've alluded to a little bit of it already, but let's talk about the next version. Next version we are debuting at Microsoft Ignite, so that's just a couple weeks away. And the team here has made great strides. We're not going to have a problem hitting that deadline at all. I showed you a lot of things that are working already. So in that next version, you're going to be able to see business services from LiveMaps Unity if you're a LiveMaps Unity customer. You're going to be able to add performance data to your own dashboards. And you're going to be able to scope everything to a custom group. That was why we got a lot of requests from people to be able to do. We're going to continue iterating on dashboards as well. We've got a lot of great requests from customers who are using it. We've got a lot of great ideas ourselves. Things that are going to be coming. One is adding individual monitors to a dashboard. Again, that's actually a Cameron Fuller request. He wrote a blog a number of years ago about being able to add monitors to a dashboard or a view. We will finally give that to him. We're going to support Windows authentication. We're going to support web farms and gardens. A lot of requests for people from that. Moving more towards the performance side of things, we'll give you more tools to manipulate those graphs and do deep dives into those graphs and see really at a micro level what's going on and really get all that information out of the data warehouse and let you see a way that you can really make use of it. Other things, configurable refreshes, linking between your custom dashboards so you can have your own drill-through behavior as well, and a whole bunch of things beyond that too. So all in all, we just announced this product, well, pre-announced it in January, did a couple months of development on it. We're really, really happy with the way things have turned out. We've got great things coming down the road, and very happy that you took the time to spend it with us today to learn a little bit more about dashboards. If you want to download dashboards yourself, please visit our website, savision.com. We've also got a lot of great webinars are on demand, a lot of great white papers. John Joyner wrote a great one on virtualization and private cloud monitoring. We had one on Hyper-V performance and figuring out where the bottlenecks are. A lot of great information there for you to download. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, wherever we are. We hope you will be as well. And of course, we'll be in Chicago at Ignite. You can visit us there as well. We'll be more than happy to give you an in-person demo and talk about your unique needs. So if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them. Either drop them in the Q&A window or the chat window, and I'll be happy to take them. And for those of you who need to leave early, thank you very much for your being here today, and I'm very happy to show you this, what we think is a great product. Questions coming through so far, I've either done a great job or I've actually bored everyone to death. I'll talk a little bit about some of the requests, and feel free to leave if you'd like. Some of the things we've seen through our support portal. Big one is being able to embed dashboards into SharePoint, for example, without having people need to authenticate. So that is coming. Of course, LiveMaps Unity has had that behavior for the longest time. You could embed it in SharePoint. We will be adding that to dashboards as well. So, question: will this performance or this presentation be available to view again? Yes, we'll most definitely make it available on our website as soon as we have the recording done and cleaned up. Or we're doing it again on Thursday if you want to sign up and watch it again in real time. But yes, we will make it available, and we will send an email out to the participants. Question on: do you need an existing management pack to view data on a dashboard? Or can you build things on the fly? So when you build a custom dashboard, we will only show you the objects that currently exist in Operations Manager. And those objects are, of course, only discovered if you have the management pack. So you need a management pack for whatever you're trying to show in order to build the dashboards. So you won't be able to, for example, pre-create something without a management pack and then walk it into your environment. Question: can you configure audible alerts on dashboards? That is actually a great question. We will put that, as soon as this is done, I will put that in the queue for things to work on. We hadn't thought about it. Of course, LiveMaps does that. You can get audible alerts off LiveMaps, so you should be able to get audible alerts off dashboards. When we add the refresh functionality to the dashboards, they automatically refresh. No reason why I shouldn't be able to add audible alerts as well when the states change. Question, are the dashboards dynamic? Yes, the dashboards are completely dynamic. So, or I should say half and half. So there are some widgets in there that use, say, a specific instance. So if we jump back to dashboards and we add new custom dashboard, object properties, for example, I pick a particular object to show the properties of. But if I do a heat map, I pick a particular object type. So that's completely dynamic. If more objects of that type are discovered by Operations Manager later on, they will automatically show up on dashboards. If they disappear from Operations Manager later on, they will disappear from dashboards as well. So yes, it is dynamic. And dashboards pull data from other sources. Today, it only pulls data from Operations Manager. We know there is another third-party project out there that just released the ability to pull from other data sources. That's on our roadmap as well. We also have on our roadmap, we know there's a lot of people out there that use other monitoring products in addition to SCOM. They're actually right across the road from our office, so I'll say SolarWinds is one that's out there. A lot of people use that for network monitoring. So future down the roadmap, we're looking at integrating SolarWinds and SCOM data together, but that's further down the road. Question, can we change the colors and styles? We sometimes have internal debates as well. Not all of us are fans of the blue theme. That's on the roadmap as well to have custom theming. So you'll be able to say, custom themes. Number one, we're going to have a colorblind theme. That's really good. That's really what we need for accessibility. The blue and some of the red and greens don't work as well for that. So that's definitely on the roadmap as well. And then offering you the ability, if not to customize them completely yourself, at least to have a choice if you're not a fan of the blue. Is there an installation guide available? Yes, there is. It's right off our download site. So if you go to Savision.com under support downloads, there's a line for dashboards and a line for the installation guide. It's fairly straightforward, but at the same time, we did put a guide so you can have all the details that you need as well. Question about Azure Operational Insights. I'm afraid I don't know. They're playing that sort of close to themselves as far as things are going. But my thought is that is something they want to put a lot more investment in. So I would assume, yes, we'd see more out of that. Of course, there is on roadmap for another version of SCOM to come out in 2016 as well. When is the new version of Live Maps going to be available? So Live Maps 7.4 will actually be available with Ignite as well. If you follow Savision, we try to do everything with the big Microsoft shows. So we're going to have rollouts of our products in time for Ignite. Live Maps adds a lot of nice new features. And it should be backwards compatible, yes. And going forward, of course, we'll be showing more and more of the Live Maps views backwards compatible as well in dashboards. Is it worth installing the current version of dashboards today, or should you wait until Ignite? Definitely go ahead and do it today. When the new version comes out in Ignite, it takes all of 30 seconds to do the upgrade. Everything's compatible, and you won't have a problem at all. The system dashboards did not change very much from the one version to the next. Custom dashboards changed a fair bit, but all the old custom dashboards you create will work in the new version as well. Just scrolling through, a lot of really good questions. I want to make sure I hit all of them. Right, mouse overs. Possible to roll the mouse over an object from a map and then pop out small little information like a graph or something like that. That would be really nice. Again, we have little internal debates as well. Do you make things rollover friendly? Because that sort of leaves the touch tablet people out as well. Are there good user experiences? That's sort of a little bit of inside baseball stuff. But nice idea to have little pop-out data of some way to cram more information in as well. That's something I'll definitely take to the designers, and we'll see what we can do with that. I think I've gotten to all the questions. Again, if you have any more questions, feel free to write to us at Savision. The salespeople would love if you wrote it to sales@savision.com. But we have other channels as well. Partners at Savision.com if you want to partner up and help resell these things. We also have a support site, support.savision.com. For those of you who have used our support before, you'll notice that we've got a nice brand new support site that we're working on. No more just plain email. So you can actually go in and create a ticket, watch the status of your ticket as developers work on it. We're starting to build out some knowledge base articles as well, so we'll give you more information there. Actually, the first knowledge base article we published already is on dashboards itself. It's actually on how to let standard users log into dashboards. Standard users should be able to log into dashboards, but they need some extra SCOM permissions. So we've got a knowledge base article on that. The next version will help make that a little more automated as well. We'll actually give you a group in SCOM that has every object that a standard user would need to have permission to log into dashboards. Question about pulling from multiple management groups in a single dashboard. Yes, that is definitely on the roadmap as well. That's something we see, especially a lot of bigger environments where they do have multiple management groups. That's something that people really, really want. Where it's going to fall is going to come sooner rather than later, I will say. That's really one of the pushes that we want to have for our products going forward, is to not only look at other data sources like SolarWinds, but also bring in multiple management groups. So you finally have, everyone says single pane of glass, but you'll finally have a single pane of glass for Operations Manager. Good idea on the tablets for instead of hovers, the long tap sort of thing. That would be a good idea to pop up a little bit of extra information. One question came out: where are the dashboards actually stored? So, like our LiveMaps Unity product, we store everything into System Center Operations Manager. So when you install dashboards, we ask you to install a management pack. That management pack defines our license object. It defines our custom dashboard object, and in the future, it will also contain that group with all the permissions that people need. And when you actually save a dashboard, what we do is we actually do a discovery. So the dashboard actually gets discovered into Operations Manager. And then when you delete a dashboard, we do an undiscovery. And you'll notice the saving in dashboards is a fair bit faster than LiveMaps Unity. We use a couple extra tricks in there as well. And you'll see our products cross-pollinate as well. And anything that makes one better is going to make the rest better as well. Right? Can we publish it to SharePoint or configure an auto login account for shared pages? That's, again, a request we've got a lot. That is coming. I keep saying that. So definitely not for Ignite, but a version shortly thereafter, because it's really important to be able to show these things to everyone in your organization and not necessarily have to give the same login account to everybody. The quickest, easiest way to do it is to throw, and I shudder to say this, throw the username and password for read-only account into the query string. I hate to hear the sound of that. You might see that as a quick stopgap, but then after that to use an actual SharePoint web part to securely store the credentials, and also to have Windows authentication as well, so people can just log in using the credentials and it just seamlessly goes into the dashboard. I'll say too, this is a new product for us. It's a new development environment. The web makes a lot of things a lot easier to do. We can move a lot faster. 7 years ago, we did live maps. There weren't as many hooks, nice presentation things. You can see, a vendor, the one that starts with the S, for example, they move very quickly because they've got a lot of convenience on as the web is a platform to show things. Because you can go into the data warehouse and the operational database now and get the stuff out. You can iterate a lot faster, and you'll see dashboards moving a lot faster, rolling a lot of things out to get where everyone wants it to be. It's a great product right now, definitely out of the box, but we're really going to iterate very hard and very fast on it. As Microsoft says, we will have a faster cadence as roll things out. So any integration with System Center Configuration Manager? And there's an easy answer to that, no. However, there is more integration that Savision is planning down the road. So I'll talk a little bit about where we're going with all of our products and product portfolios. We recognize that a lot of people use tools beyond just System Center. So a lot of people use, for example, SolarWinds. SolarWinds is a great tool for network monitoring. And a lot of companies will have Operations Manager for most of the monitoring and then incorporate SolarWinds as well. So one of the things we're going to do down the road is we're going to bring SolarWinds data in as well and correlate it all together. Another thing we integrate right now with Service Manager in LiveMaps Unity. With the next release of LiveMaps Unity, we are also going to integrate with ServiceNow. We find a lot of our customers use that. And we will be looking at Configuration Manager as well. We will be looking at other monitoring systems. We want to move more down to the single pane of glass. Everyone says that, but no one has yet achieved it. Even Operations Manager, if you have multiple management groups today, you don't get a single pane of glass. You get a single pane per management group. That's not really helpful. So in the future dashboards, you will be seeing single pane of glass for all your management groups in one dashboard. If you want, you can break them out individually too. Let's continue on. Will dashboards be able to replace the SCOM web console in the near future? We do know the SCOM web console is based all around Silverlight. We'll wait and see what they have coming in 2016 if they redo that all over again or not. No, we won't be a complete replacement for it in the near future. There's a lot of stuff in SCOM. Well, we'll get pretty close. Why don't I say that? Especially with the custom dashboards, you'll be able to inventory a lot of things, see the performance information, health state, alert states. We've got a new, one of the other features coming in the May release, which really should have been there before, was when you see an alert, we just sort of truncate the details. In the May release, you'll be able to click on it and see all the information about the alert. The one thing we won't be replicating is the widgets that the Microsoft has. But dashboards will be a pretty good replacement for the SCOM web console. And if there are things that you particularly want us to focus on, again, just let us know. Actually, the other nice thing we've done is we've overhauled our support procedure. So if you go to support.savision.com, you can enter tickets, you can enter feature requests, you can follow along as developers actually make changes to it, and it's a really nice new system we have for handling that sort of thing. So, do you need an extra server to set up dashboards? No, you don't. You can set it up on any existing IIS server that you have. You can even set it up on the server that's serving the LiveMaps web console or the Operations Manager web console. There's a bug in the current version that will be fixed in the May 4th release where we don't actually let you set it in the same website as Operations Manager. But May 4th rolls around, you'll be able to set it in that website too if you want. So really anywhere that has an IIS server running on it that has a direct connection or some route possible to the Operations Manager SDK and to the two Operations Manager databases, and you can run it. Okay, how does it scale to giant groups, 5,000 plus agents? So it will scale better than Operations Manager, that's for sure. Better than native console, better than Operations Manager web console. We've got, I can't tell you how many agents our biggest customer has, but they have a lot, in the thousands. Looking at the performance data, we were down under, we were at around 90 seconds querying performance data for them. And that was actually that SQL query execution plan I showed you. So after we made a whole bunch of tweaks, they said it was a huge improvement, which I'm taking to say under 30 seconds. Our goal is to have every page come up in 10 seconds, and there's still things we can do to do some profiling and some optimization as well. But it definitely scales well. Possible to combine several management groups. Yes, that is on our roadmap. So not today, but it's on our roadmap for sure. Okay, what extra steps do you need to take if you want to view dashboards on a tablet outside of your organization? The only thing you have to do is make sure that the web server serving dashboards has an external connection. So if you can connect with your tablet to that web server, you're done. We, of course, recommend that you install it as SSL. We recommend that you have a properly signed certificate instead of a self-signed one, but not a problem. You sign in with your tablet. It's got the same login screen, asks you for your credentials, so your Windows domain credentials, sends those off to the server, connects to the SDK, and you're done. So all the actual connections to the SDK and the databases are from the web server back, not from your device. So again, your device is just showing web pages. Question, do you need live maps to run dashboards? No, you do not. Dashboards can work all by itself. Of course, if you have live maps, you get a much better experience. Little long question here. So right now, the system dashboard in dashboards only lets you handle Exchange 2013. And some people are asking for Exchange 2010. We are thinking about it. Of course, the developers say if they think long enough, everyone's going to migrate. So we will see. It's not on the immediate roadmap to do an Exchange 2010. If we have enough requests for it, we will put that in as well. So again, we're happy to have feature requests. So support.savision.com, put it in, and we'll see if we can't get on the roadmap for you. See, are there other questions that we have? Again, if you have other questions, feel free to write us, support@savision.com, support.savision.com, sales@savision.com. The salespeople love to talk on the phone. Give them a call, and they can arrange, if you want a more in-depth demo of LiveMaps Unity, they can definitely do that for you, or Cloud Reporter. They can do that as well. So I think the questions have come to an end. Again, we're happy to take any, if you go to a support portal, if you write to us, tweet us, whatever. And again, visit us, Savision.com. You can download dashboards. Just go to our downloads page, or go to the product page for dashboards, where you can request a license key. The license is good for 1 year. It gives you all the system dashboards, gives you one custom dashboard. And to our loyal customers of LiveMaps Unity, you get all sorts of premium features as well. So thank you once again, and I hope you have the best rest of the day that you can. Take care.